calling the Palmdale Aerospace Academy Board meeting to order. It is 5:34 on May 26th. Can we get a roll call, please?
Barat Tashpulot, Cheryl Gardner,
Here.
Vicky Lee, Dennis Trujillo,
Present.
Ellen McIsaac, here, Justin Knowles,
Here.
Nardi Lopez.
Here. Thank you. Mr. Schatz, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we are calling public comment for items not on the agenda, and we have 7, correct?
Yes,
Anna?
that's correct.
And these are the 7?
Yes.
First, we have Jesse Bejarano.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jesse Bejarano. I'm a graduating senior here at the Palmdale Aerospace Academy, and this fall I will be attending Princeton University to study computer science. When I first heard that AP classes were being cut, a lot of them were, I couldn't help but think that what if I wasn't going to graduate this year, right? What if the classes that I've taken were already gone when I was a sophomore or when I was a junior, wanted to take these classes, right? Without AP computer science principles, I would never have discovered the field that I'm majoring now, and without AP Calculus BC and AP Chemistry, I would have never been pushed hard enough to prove myself, and to prove myself to a school like Princeton, that I could handle that level of work. I just happened to be there at the right time, and I was able to take the classes that I enjoyed and that I wanted to take. And ultimately it worked out for me, and I was accepted to Princeton. But what about for the students that come after me, right? Will they have that same luxury? And if not, why not? What's stopping them from also taking the classes that they enjoy? And even if, the classes next year, you'll say, we'll offer them. But what happens next spring when the enrollment numbers come in again, right? What's the threshold for these classes? If a class has 25 students, is it safe? What about 20? What about 15? What's the number where we decide that a class isn't worth offering anymore and just cut it? Because if there's no clear answer to that question, then every single year becomes a fight over whether certain classes will survive, and students can't plan their future around a program that might disappear at any moment, right? And AP programs, it take years to build, and they only take one decision to destroy it. If you cut an AP class for even 1 year, you risk losing the teacher, you break the pipeline of students moving into that, and restarting it becomes far harder than simply keeping on going. And the 5-year growth that we've seen as students with at least a 3 in AP classes, it has jumped from 28% of students scoring a 3 and above to over 62% in just 5 years. To me, that's crazy. That's over double. But instead of celebrating this, we seem to be deterring the future growth and dismantling the system that we worked so hard to build on. And I have a younger brother at this school, and I don't want to be back here in a year or 5 years having this same conversation, right? Trying to fight this fight. I'm asking the board members tonight, not just to keep these classes for now, but to make a real commitment to protecting AP classes at this school going forward, so that every student who has the drive and challenge and who wants to go the extra mile has a chance to prove themselves and do what they want to do. Thank you all for allowing me a chance to speak.
Next, we have Leah Taylor.
Good evening. I'm a speech pathologist, and I've been in education since 1998 and at TPAA since early 2020. I'm a very proud parent of a TPAA senior who's been here since 7th grade. I am appalled by the administration's proposal to cut AP classes. I can confirm that not many AP teachers knew about this plan. Parents were unaware, students were unaware. When a decision that will have such a sweeping impact on a huge student population, input from all those parties is crucial. Unfortunately, this is another example of decisions made with no input from the people who will be directly affected. My daughter will be attending UC Riverside and was accepted into a master's program in entomology. A master's program at age 17. UCR has the second best entomology program in the world. When her senior year is complete, she'll have nearly 50 college credits because of AP, which will save her family almost 2 years of UC tuition. We wouldn't be able to afford UC without this. Grace is pursuing STEM because of her education at a STEM school and her teacher's influence and unwavering support. She's part of the Science Olympiad team and has brought back medals. None of this would have been possible without AP. You take away these classes, you take away the pipeline into robotics, Science Olympiad, you take away medals. You take away the competition that this senior class has owned, getting into schools like UCLA, UCSD, Davis, Princeton, Berkeley, MIT in past years. Dual enrollment at ABC was brought up as an alternative, which is unrealistic for most working families in California. The incoming seniors deserve better. As an educator who has served people with disabilities and learning differences for over 25 years, I'll offer a final perspective. Ms. Lynch commented that our school has many, quote, low kids, citing this as a fiscal reason for cutting AP. I believe this was uncalled for towards our low students, whatever that meant. I can assure you that some of my past IEP students have taken AP and honors, and they've done pretty well. It gives them a challenge, and they gain confidence they may not have had before due to all the labels they're used to hearing. Our SPED director is doing the best she can to speak up and make positive change for the department. However, the number of excellent SPED staff forced out because of disagreements with the superintendent is pretty scary. I've experienced retaliation this year for speaking up, and I can assure you I'm worried once again after this. But this all needed to be said. It's ethically part of my professional license. We should be able to support our, quote, high, low, and middle students at a STEM school with a STEM class that's unique from others in the Valley. Thanks.
Next we have Nellie Keys. Or is it Ray?
Yes. Good evening, everybody. I am here to speak on behalf of our students who will be losing valuable specialized academic instructional services. If you already know about the proposed change, I'm sorry to waste your time. However, if you don't know about the proposed change, I'd like to share a little bit of information. Our co-taught model is going to be reduced drastically this upcoming year. At least that's the proposal. Nobody's talking to the teachers, nobody's talking to the students, nobody's talking to the parents. Nobody's talking to any of us about the changes, except to tell us these are the changes that are coming. Now let me break it down a little bit. What the proposed class reduction will be. 9th grade, next year it stays the same, in ELA and in co-taught, math. We have two algebra 1s and two algebra ELAs, I'm sorry. In 10th grade, currently we have 2 ELA classes that we're co-teaching. We have also 2 geometry classes. Now next year, the proposal is that we will be losing 1 geometry class in our 10th grade. Now the 11th grade, now mind you, these are the kids that are going to be taking the Smarter Balance tests. Currently we have 2 ELA classes, we have 1 Algebra 2 class, and we have 1 Consumer Math class that we're co-teaching. So next year, we are losing 1 ELA and all the math co-taught classes in the 11th grade. This is a critical year where our students need to be performing well so they can perform well on the Smarter Balance assessment. And we're cutting all the services. So in 12th grade, that's going to be where the biggest change is. Currently, we have 2 ELA classes in 12th grade, and we have 1 Algebra 2 and 1 Geometry class as a co-taught class. We're losing all of those classes in 12th grade, every single one of them. We're offering no co-taught classes. Now, we are offering push-in minutes, but we don't know what that's going to look like. And it doesn't have to be from a special education teacher. So are the kids really receiving their service minutes? So, as a school, we need to seriously consider whether we want to make these changes and make these cuts, because it is going to affect our students. Now, I'm advocating for the students that nobody really pays attention to, nobody really sees, the common Joe that's out there. That's who I'm advocating for, because they need our services and they need our help. Changes should be data-driven. Now, I'm asking, where's the data to justify these changes? We haven't been given any data. We haven't seen any numbers. So where is this data? So I would urge you to please consider not cutting our co-taught model, because this is very important to our children.
Next we have Daniel Hendricks.
Good evening, board members. I'm Daniel Hendricks. I've been a teacher at TPAA since 2013, and I also have a child graduating this year. While I believe other people are going to be addressing you with specific issues, I'd like to take a moment to talk about a big picture problem that I believe is a contributor to a lot of these issues. Mainly a lack of communication among different levels of admin and staff. For example, with state testing, a couple of weeks before the test, we received a new plan for block period testing, but then the weekend before that, it reverted back. Doesn't appear that teacher input was included in either decision, and nobody ever explained why these changes occurred. With the master schedule this year, we received the most limited information we've ever received, and the teachers all ended up having to talk to each other to try to figure out what was going on. Even on simple things, there's a senior break happening tonight, and we had staff sending out group emails just trying to figure out what their duties were tonight. Sometimes we do get promises to solicit staff input, but these often fall short. For instance, we were promised that you'd have the opportunity to provide feedback on the NWEA before it was renewed, but it was brought to you last session without fulfilling that promise. On our own, the math and English department did a survey of their teachers, and the result was 92% of the teachers who have used both NWEA and any other program said that NWEA was the inferior. When staff ask who is making these decisions, we often get the runaround or an extremely vague "the powers that be," refusing to clarify if the decision came from an assistant principal, one of the many directors, superintendent, or even the board itself. There doesn't even appear to be a clear district org chart that identifies who's in charge of what. As a veteran, I'm used to a clear chain of command, but no one seems to be willing to admit where the marching orders are even coming from. This does not help morale. And it's not solely this particular administration, but it's been a recurring and steadily escalating issue since the complete admin wipe in 2020, give or take, Paul. Despite the current board regularly asking that teacher input be included, staff feel more in the dark than ever. We have no idea what's coming down the pipeline next, why it's showing up, or who sent it down. While we understand that TPAA has made the decision over the years to transition from a more staff-led model to, some might say, a top-heavy admin-led model, it often feels as though ground-level input has been explicitly excised, avoided, and ignored. TPAA's boots on the ground do not expect everything to stay the same as it was a decade ago, but we are experts in our field and like any stakeholder would like to have input. I'm asking the board to pursue efforts to integrate staff input at earlier stages, make use of the centuries of collective experience we provide, so that when major changes are planned, we can provide input before they occur and not be left with speaking to the board afterwards as our only possible way to be heard. The creation of a district board chart would also be nice. Thank you.
Wind has not been my friend today or this week. I'm gonna give you this chair, if you're not sitting there, but allow me to get this. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Mr. Lago.
Good evening, board. Speaking as an AP teacher tonight, discussing the proposed cuts to our course offerings. And I will preface with an acknowledgement that I am not a master scheduler. If we can't get enough students into a class, I understand the need to make a tough call. But my questions are, why can we no longer fill AP classes, and what are we doing to correct that? And so if you ask any of the soon-to-be graduates about school culture, they tell you it's bad. Student accountability is down over the last few years. We've done very little to improve it. We are permissive with on-campus truancy and disruptiveness. The high standards of our academy are deteriorating, and it's making itself apparent in our students' outcomes. Student academic support is also missing. It's been several years now since teachers were told we could no longer tutor our own students. We were promised robust replacements, but so far efforts feel rushed, ad hoc, they lack meaningful investment, and are largely unattended. We spend heaps of cash on programs and apps, but we haven't committed to any face-to-face student supports, and that is showing in our students' outcomes. Now, our response to this is to cut classes that students want to take, but that we have stopped preparing them for. Approximately half of all sophomores took AP Euro this year. That includes English language learners, students with IEPs, and that number will be reduced by half next year. I believe that cutting AP and honors offerings will contribute to, not help, our students' declining outcomes. Honors courses create the AP pipeline. It is possible that students may not quite be ready to take an honors course, but if they're willing to do the work, they might be prepared to take AP Euro their sophomore years. Maybe they're not quite ready for AP Euro. It's most students' first crack at an AP class, and the learning curve is steep. Maybe they pass, maybe they don't. I've never really cared about that, but when they leave me, they are ready for more rigorous coursework in 11th and 12th grade. And by gutting these pipelines, we take opportunities away from our students who want to test their mettle, boost their CVs and GPAs, save thousands in college, or just engage more deeply in a subject that they like. What gutting these programs will not do is improve our test scores or give families a reason to choose TPAA as school of choice. When we focus in on AP pass rates as the deciding factor, what we lose sight of is the real purpose of education, and that is constant improvement. Learning accumulates year over year. There are kids this year that had no chance of passing the AP test, I know that. But there is no denying that they are better thinkers, learners, readers, and writers for having challenged themselves with rigorous coursework and for committing themselves to improvement. Our classes are for more than pass rates, test scores, and data points. The education kids are getting is good, and if they want to work, we should let them.
Next one is Cesar Ayong.
Hello, my name is Cesar Ayon. I've been at TPAA since 2013, and I'm currently finishing my 17th year in education, and I also am a father of a student who is attending or signed up for right now a couple AP classes next year. Tonight, I am here in support of the Honors and AP programs. I am here in support of my colleagues, but most importantly, I am here in support of our students. I am not here to lecture you about the way things were. I am here to ask that teachers be included in decision-making processes. Consult the people with overall experience. Respect the opinions and perspectives of the educators who work directly with these students every single day, because ultimately we are here for the kids. I could spend this time talking about how many of our AP students enter college with sophomore or junior level credits, saving them thousands of dollars because of the opportunities provided by TPAA, money that our community could then use to pay their mortgages or support local businesses. I could talk about how students who do not even pass the AP test still come back, and actually this happened today, and they tell me that even though they didn't pass the test, they still feel like it helped them for college level work. I could also explain how the honors program serves as a direct pipeline to AP courses and how removing honors classes further lowers our academic standards at TPAA. But instead I want to tell you a quick story. A few years ago I taught a young man who faced significant struggles in his life. If you looked at only a spreadsheet, transcript, data point, you would probably not consider him AP material, but those numbers could not show you his work ethic. His B's and C's were earned through relentless effort, perseverance, and determination. For him, those grades represented victories that many people would never understand. That is the point I want to make tonight. Educational decisions cannot be solely made from spreadsheets, percentages, or enrollment numbers. When we reduce students to data points, we risk overlooking the very qualities that education is supposed to nurture: resilience, growth, determination, potential. I should probably also mention that this student from the story was an English learner and a special education student, and he passed my AP test. That exam gave him college credit, confidence, and the opportunity to enter college a little further ahead than he otherwise might have. That is why these programs matter. That is why we are asking to be included in these conversations about anything that directly impact our students, our schedules, and the future of our school, because we are all here for the kids. I'm running out of time, so I leave you with a couple more questions. How many more programs will be cut without transparency? How many more last-minute changes to events, schedules, testing, etc. will be made without the chance for collaboration? If money is an issue, then why are we spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for consultants and speakers? Why are my classified friends worried that they are going to suffer because they aren't as loud as us annoying teachers? Why are we more concerned with cell phones and dress codes instead of establishing a consistent discipline system where we hold our challenging kids accountable? That's it. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Dr. Sullivan?
I won't take the board's time. I just wanted to say thank you to our staff and students for speaking up. I'm sure that there was a lot that was said tonight, that was said in the weeks prior to the last board meeting in regards to AP and the master schedule. I think that's one thing that's really great that I've loved about working here, is that our staff is not afraid to speak up. When they feel like they need to, they're here, and we hear you. We were able to make some changes after the last meeting, and so I'll be going over those changes to some of the schedules and later on during the presentation. But I just want to acknowledge and let all the students know and staff know that we do hear you, and your words do matter, and we do respect you. So thank you guys for being here tonight, and I'll keep my time.
Okay, we move on to public comments concerning agendized items. We have two. One of them is Alexander Olivas.
Hi, my name is Alexander Olivas, and the matter of my discussion relates to the removal of anatomy and physiology as a course for the upcoming year. I graduated from TPAA in 2025, and since then I'm currently pursuing a chemical engineering degree at the University of Southern California with aspirations to go to medical school. I bring up my decision to study chemical engineering with pursuing medicine because I feel like most of my decision to study this came from an environment that encouraged me to explore this field of science through classes and extracurriculars here at TPAA. And it actually wasn't until junior year until I took anatomy and subsequently AP chemistry that I began to discover my love and passion for medicine and chemistry. To hear about the removal of anatomy and physiology for the upcoming year was a shock to me because despite, I know the conversation right now is very heavily centered on AP classes and honor classes, but a class like anatomy and physiology, especially at a STEM school, provides a unique field of science that isn't covered by other AP and honors classes, that has the impact to encourage and inspire students to pursue careers in medicine that are vital to humanity and to the world. As for the class, the nature of the class, it fosters an environment and encourages those who are curious about the field of medicine. And I know so many people who took that class with me and after me who, because of the class, are deciding to pursue the registered nursing program at ABC, deciding to pursue major at a undergrad with a pre-medical emphasis, and even biomedical engineering, which is something that I know that the TPAA is very catered towards engineering. So, as I want to speak for some of the experiences that I've had in anatomy and with others that I know, I've had people, good friends of mine, who have taken it and felt so inspired by it to. They graduated early just so they can finish their registering nursing program at ABC. And if it wasn't for a class like anatomy and physiology, which provided them with those concepts of like clinical work, such as learning how to take heart rate, labs like dissection, blood pressure, just like understanding such vital concepts that I feel like aren't taught in other classes as far as I know here at TPAA. It really restricts the ability for students to explore their passions all around STEM, not just in engineering, and like I said, anatomy, its applications beyond the in medicine go beyond far without being spoken to. So, and by removing this, I know this is a class. Oh, sorry. I hope you take note of my experience taking anatomy and reconsider your decision to remove anatomy and physiology from the curriculum.
Our next speaker is Rossi Guzman. Rosie Guzman.
Good evening, good board members. I'm Rosie Guzman. I'm a science teacher and avid coordinator with 20 years of experience. I'd like to start by asking the all stakeholders present a few questions. Do you know how the Coriolis effect changes wind and ocean currents? Do you know how stars' mass affects its life cycle? Do you know how Earth systems interact to create our weather and climate? If you answer yes to one or more of these questions, you have the opportunity to learn how Earth and space systems work. Eliminating Earth science from the academic science sequence creates a critical gap in our students' academic readiness and directly jeopardizes their performance on the California Science Test, which heavily emphasizes on Earth science concepts. Furthermore, it strips them from a highly tangible class that connects abstract scientific principles to students' everyday physical surroundings. It helps their analytical skills by interpreting data, modeling systems, and studying societal issues that affect our planet. Ninth grade is a critical transition year where students are adapting to high school expectations and increased academic rigor. Earth science provides a highly accessible and relevant entry point to high school science because it connects directly with their experiences and the world around them. The current science sequence was thoroughly discussed for years using the Next Generation Science Standards, or NGSS. The standards aim, and I quote, to prepare all K-12 students to be informed, scientifically literate citizens. With this intent, the standards were divided into 3 domains: life science, physical science, and earth and space science. The NGSS framework emphasizes a coherent progression of scientific understanding. And after multiple discussions, we reached the conclusion as a team that our students will be well equipped if they investigate real-world phenomena using observable evidence in earth science before transitioning to the more abstract molecular and cellular systems emphasized in biology. Keeping our current science sequence of earth science in 9th grade followed by biology in 10th grade is both educationally appropriate with how students acquire scientific concepts and strategically aligned with our educational goals. The sequence supports student engagement, prepares them to be informed citizens equipped to engage in STEM careers, aligns effectively with the NGSS, and better prepares them for the California Science Test. The Academy is educating the leaders of the future. Are we all comfortable approving a sequence that doesn't educate future decision makers on environmental, geological, and societal factors affecting our world? To ensure a competitive, well-rounded education that meets state standards, we must keep the current sequence. Thank you for your time.
Next we have Amanda Goff.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Goff and I teach chemistry, AP Chem, and am the science department lead. I started here in 2014 as a space tutor back before it was even called AVID. I've been here a long time, and through all these years I've worked with some of the most incredible educators and taught some of the most amazing young adults who have gone on to study and do impressive things. I'm proud of the work we've done as a community, which is why I feel so compelled to speak against the changes being made to the science sequencing with no feedback from the science team. The current directors have not consulted the department to provide any input or direction into the science sequence for the next school year. I think it's important to know that our sequencing was not chosen at random or because it's convenient. As a science department, we've spoken at length for many days and many hours across many years about what's best for our school and, more importantly, our students. It's been an ongoing, collaborative, data-driven discussion focused on student outcomes, both academically and developmentally. Beginning with earth science as a freshman gives students a tangible introduction to scientific thinking. It sparks curiosity in a way that students can immediately connect with the world around them. Biology then builds a strong foundation in life science while developing critical thinking, analysis, and laboratory skills. Together, these classes satisfy the UC's A through G basic recommendation for laboratory sciences and prepare students to make meaningful choices about their scientific interests. However, to be competitive to the UCs as a freshman applicant, students are strongly recommended to take 3 or more years of science, and many of our top students have graduated with 6 years of science. So that choice matters. Some students pursue chemistry and learn about atomic interactions and the math behind stoichiometry. Others pursue anatomy and physiology, where they learn bones and muscles and dissect cats while exploring the complexity of the human body. Others choose physics and study forces, motion, and energy. And then others are ready to challenge themselves with AP Bio and techniques like electrophoresis and genetic analysis, or AP Environmental Science, where they study sustainability and human impact on ecosystems. Or some choose AP Chem, where they spend weeks mastering titrations, equilibrium, and learn to appreciate the second law of thermodynamics. The point is that they are allowed to explore science in ways that are relevant to their goals and strengths. They experience science the way it was meant to, through inquiry, exploration, experimentation, and discovery. It is not a one-size-fits-all type of content. And yet, the way our class assignments currently stand, almost all ninth grade students are being funneled into biology, making chemistry mandatory their sophomore year. Earth science and anatomy are not being offered next year, and upper-level AP science courses are being threatened as well. As a department, we know chemistry is a valuable science and an interesting class. My bachelor's degree is in chemistry. But we also know it's not for everyone and should not be mandated at the sacrifice of earth science or student choice. By limiting the student options, we're limiting their future. How do we expect students to be competitive for college and future careers when we're reducing the very courses that allow them to specialize, challenge themselves, and pursue their interests? Thank you.
Okay, those are all the public comments for agendized items, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We move on to reports. Superintendent Lynch.
So, some good news we would like to share. Actually, Mr. Dilger is going to help me out with this one. Since I arrived here as HR director, I only have that as my experience. We've been talking at the end of the year, like what are things that we've accomplished, what are things we want to do going into next year. And we talked about everything that our entire academy has accomplished that we think we should share for a positive way to start off this board meeting. And Mr. Dilger was very excited to share this with the board.
All right. For the first time since 2020, we have a clean audit report. 2020 is when we brought the business services in-house. Our LCAP is now built in collaboration with Ed Services rather than just checking a box for compliance. HR has introduced an SAIS system, which is ADP, while also hosting for the first time their own job fairs on site, getting our local community in here to our building and seeing what we can accomplish. We have 2 union contracts from the ground up, both PACA and PATA. Very hard to do within a 2 years time frame, including the reps that we have behind me. Our hardworking classified staff now has an opportunity to earn retirement at TPAA through CalPERS, which was never present prior to this year. Academy and school-wide committees are now in place, including safety, curriculum, and calendar. There's an increased targeted professional development for teachers, but more importantly, because it's very loud and vocal, and they have the need, is our classified staff actually has a PD that's dedicated to them rather than just being inclusive and on the curtails of everybody else. Data-driven instruction is continuing to be pushed and by our instructors as well as our staff and administration. We have senior administration and site admin are doing weekly classroom walkthroughs, which wasn't done in the previous years. We have more dual enrollment opportunities for students than we have in the past. Here, professional learning communities are now across the academy pushing forward our staff growth. Those are PLCs. We've never had those in a formal manner, and now we do. Our PBIS has been instituted and students are enjoying that extra care. Even this week there's multiple PBIS activities being put on by our staff and administration. Don't forget about our PLTW awards that have been instituted by our elementary school as well as now in our middle school and high school. We're leading the AV in those honors. Our board has allowed us to integrate arts into our STEM, which is a huge transition to the academy that we're still getting our feet under us on. Mr. Brophy has now put 3D printers all across our campus, which are being utilized even from our elementary school library, printing bookmarks, getting kids interested in reading again. A portrait of a graduate has been designed in collaboration with our staff, our teachers, and our community that will be dictating and showcasing to our students what we want them to, and the values and the goals that we want them to have as they leave the institution. Intervention has been implemented as a priority at all sites, inclusive of middle school this year, to help our students reach academic goals. Our attendance has improved tremendously year over year. This is done through competition, through follow-through, and an increased care of our students. We have separated our school sites in middle school and high school. For those of the boards that have been here long enough, you would remember that it was one principal over both sites. We've separated those two sites so it allows direct communication and direct support of those individual students as they deserve. Don't forget our food service is now cooking as well too. This is a huge improvement year over year. Our students, go talk to them, they're eating more than they ever have here on site. We've installed 140 surveillance cameras across site, increasing the security. You don't have another campus across the AV that has that level of surveillance for our students and staff. One-on-one Chromebooks for students. We re-roofed 2/3 of our campus. We actually have formal IT and facility ticket systems. We have a campus security specialist and actual security-focused training. There's an academy-wide safety committee that people are a part of. Our middle school behavior, because we have a solid administrator principal now, is improving, always growing. I appreciate the leadership there by our middle school administration and staff. We have a modern website on there. We have a social media presence, and it's important because we're a school of choice. We can't just float out there. We have to market ourselves on there. And last but not least, we even have a Assembly School Board website to give the professional documentation and access as our board operations deserve. That was a massive lift I just rattled through. Not many of these are related to facilities, but are done by the people behind me, by the people in front of me, and my peers beside of me. So it was, when we put this all down, it was a good perspective, and I'm glad Ms. Lynch gave us the opportunity to share this publicly. Because not all of us were here during all this, but we all played a role, and we now have to continue that ball moving forward.
Thank you. Director of Student Services, Mr. Riley.
I'd just like to brag about our attendance staff. They've done a tremendous job this school year. While other schools have experienced declining enrollment, we've actually experienced increasing enrollment. We gained almost 40 students from the 24-25 school year to the 25-26 school year. In implementing independent study this year, we completed 84.5% of all the contracts that we put out. So we actually rescued 1,566 days of average daily attendance through the creation of our independent study program. Again, I appreciate the board's effort and supports in approving a policy that allowed us to do that. I appreciate the work of our attendance clerks, our teachers, the registrar, everyone that meets with us every 2 weeks to put student attendance at the forefront of their thought and to make sure that students don't learn if they're not in school. So just appreciate the work that's been done this school year.
Thank you. Director of Educational Services, Mr. Shep.
All right, I've got some exciting news for all of you. We were once again recognized as a Project Lead the Way Distinguished District. So we will get another banner to hang up in here. And I'd also like to say congratulations because our elementary school is going to be receiving the Distinguished Launch School for Project Lead the Way. Our middle school received the Gateway Distinguished School, and our high school has received the Distinguished High School. So they will all be getting their banners so you can head up in the hallways out there also. And I'd like to say thank you to Dennis and the Palmdale School District for hooking us up with their free Footsteps to Brilliance. It's a TK 3rd grade website for our students for math. And also like to say thank you to Michael and our tech team because they ended up creating a super secret code for our students to be able to log in because our Palmdale School District and ours weren't compatible because we're two separate sites on there. So thanks to our tech team for making that, Dennis for being that for us. And I'd also like to say thank you to Nardi and the city of Palmdale because they brought for us today a youth development day for some of our high school students to go get up there and have a great day up there also. And in 2 days, our high school counselors on Thursday are going to be doing our next round of dual enrollment registration workshop, where they will be helping our students come in here and they'll be helping our students sign up for their fall dual enrollment courses. And speaking about our high school counselors, middle school counselors, before you go today, if you haven't seen it yet, take the walk down to the end of the hallway down there. They have put together our wall of fame for all of our seniors that are graduating, which college they're going to. You'll see their portrait underneath which college, and if they're joining the military, which branch of the military they're joining to. It's a beautiful sight on the wall. And I'd also like to thank Paul and his team, because those are the most straight pictures I've ever seen lined up in there. And it really is amazing how that looks. As an update for YCP from the last board meeting, that if I have not talked to you about it yet, I reached out to YCP about coming out to our lunch to help promote it for our students, and they suggested not moving forward for the summer or for the fall of 26. So we'll put that in our burners for next year, and we'll continue to work on promoting that for our students, so we can get that in the future. All right, and lastly, but not least, our AP for field trip, our AP Environmental Science class went to the Annenberg Community Beach House in Santa Monica. That was our field trip for since our last one. Thank you.
Director of Special Education, Ms. Fawcett.
I don't have anything directly to report to the board, but I'd like to say thank you for a wonderful team, some of them are here, special ed team, to end our school year, and congratulating all of our seniors that will be graduating next year from special education. An amazing team, and I'm thankful for and grateful for all. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna call on you, but.
No, ma'am. I'm done for
I
now.
don't know if you have more to add.
No, I'm out of bullet points.
Do you have anything to share? Or
No, ma'am, not there now. Thank you.
Director of Health Services, Ms. Lovett.
Evening, this is a very busy time of year. We are tying up and completing the last few dozen IEPs and 504s, and all of our state reports are due, so I've been working on that and just getting students ready for next year and for summer school activities and a variety of health office activities. So it's just been a busy time, so I want to thank you for all of your support.
Thank you. Chief Business Official, Ms. Russell. Director of STEAM and Robotics. I don't have to call Mr. Brooklyn.
Robotics Open House was last Friday, getting middle school and high school kids interested in robotics and hopefully signed up for summer stuff. Thank you, we had our robotic awards night too, and thank you to Mr. Trujillo, Ms. Gardner for showing up and showing your support. It was great seeing you over there, and thank you all the parents that made it happen.
Employee Organizations, PATA.
Hello again. Pretty excited to be winding down this school year. It's been long. Just wanted to point out one thing. We are contractually obligated to make any and all vacancies available to internal candidates before hiring externally. I can think of only one example of this happening this year, and that was pretty recently for some elementary positions. So this practice does need to be implemented henceforth. For example, non-reelects occurred in April. No internal communications about those vacancies have been sent out. We're approving the hiring of a chemistry teacher on tonight's agenda. No internal communications about that. Same for the STEM teacher being approved tonight. This practice is consistent with Article 1410 of the CBA, which says the Human Resources Department shall post all vacancies for voluntary reassignment within 10 days of the vacancy being known. That should also include newly created positions such as our instructional coaches. Those positions were not made available to internal candidates. That is not meant to be offensive to Ms. Owens or Ms. Romero, though. I think they're doing a great job. I really love them. But the contract is pretty clear on this issue. And so we need to make sure that we're implementing that practice henceforth. Thanks.
We had to go to the farthest corner just to make it harder on ourselves. Good evening, my name is Kira Junius. I'm the Vice President of PACA, which is TPAA's Classified Association. I will soon be completing my 9th year as an instructional assistant here.
while our main goal today is to sunshine PACA's 26-27 rebargain topics, I wanted to start with sharing something about myself. I labeled my role here at the school as a helper, and I take that self-appointment very seriously. I help students understand and how to get through their assignments. I help substitutes navigate a room full of kids out to test them. I help new teachers learn procedures for the first time. Help seasoned teachers navigate the special education world. Help our classified team understand their rights and the rules without any written policy and procedure to guide them. Help the admin hear the voices of those too nervous to bring up concerns in person. And today, we're helping the continued development and implementation of a fair and equitable contract for our classified association. Last week was Classified Appreciation Week. Many staff and admin and even some board members donated time, money, and energy into giving our classified staff something to look forward to every day last week. And I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude for the snacks, the kind words, the decor, and the meals provided to the classified staff last week. We really did like it. Small acts like that, they go such a long way, and every time somebody goes out of their way to praise, honor, or thank the staff, it is felt and appreciated. I urge the school and the board to remember that TPAA's culture is a living thing, which often needs these small acts of care to exist. Again, thank you so much for last week. We all know that nothing is perfect, but I believe that a continued positive collaboration between TPAA and PACA will result in a contract and general work environment that will offer the safety and guidance that our school needs for both its employees and its management. I think we all want to help make things better for everybody at TPAA, and I look forward to continued work toward that shared goal. Thanks.
I'm asking for 20 seconds because our reports are at the end of the agenda, and there's nobody here. So I just want to say something. While there's people here, I want to echo Gary's comments about the wall. I saw it a couple days ago. It's great. Whoever worked on that, I really appreciate the effort that was put into that wall. That's all I want to say.
Okay, now we move on to our consent agenda. Are there any items that any board member would like to pull or have questions on? Is Farad on? No? No questions on any of the agenda items? Okay. So we
Move to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
Second.
call for the vote. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the consent agenda has been approved.
Thank you.
Now we move on to discussion items. And we have middle school moving forward. The academy will provide the board with an overview of middle school program.
So good evening, everybody. I just really want to thank you for the opportunity for me to present. I remember the first time I came in here, I was presenting on data that I inherited, and we had a list of things that we had up there that we wanted to implement this year. So I'm excited and I'm happy. Thank you for the opportunity to come back so I just want to show you the things that we've accomplished this year and the things, our vision for next year. But I really want to thank the leaders that I have. I want to thank Ms. Lynch for trusting me. Just trusting me to carry out the vision and providing the supports that I need to be successful as a first-year middle school principal. Because all my life was high school. And I came here and she trusts me, and I had a great team, great support, and I just want to publicly thank you for doing it, trusting me. Because of her trust and their support and the resources, I will breathe. All right, so I'm excited to say one of the things about middle school is that what I learned about middle school, like I said, all my life is high school. What I learned about middle school is that grades really don't matter. So our mantra for next year is, it's not the grade, it's the learning. the goal of this mantra is, as a team, we talked about this. I collaborate a lot with my team. We just have a lot of input that, hey, we are doing this vision together. And I trust my team trusts me to lead them. And so if we can focus on the learning, the quality of students that we will send to high school will make a huge difference in the academy. So that is our goal. We are the middleman, and we will make a difference. If you talk to any of my teachers, you will ask them, what is your goal? To be the best middle school in the Antelope Valley. That is our goal. So I will touch quickly on these points. Starting with intervention. So this year, in January, we started an intervention program. And we were figuring it out. We need to figure out how do we intervene, because we get students at different levels. And so we created a really successful math intervention. We looked at data together as a team. We built small groups. All the interventions that we did was specifically data-driven. We were able to create those groups because of the data we collected throughout the year. So, and when we walk into these classrooms and see the interventions, you see the students that would normally struggle because we differentiated the instruction so good, they were achieving success. And math was not a thing that they were scared of anymore, because now we're differentiating at the level that they understand. And we took all that and we wrapped it up at the end of the school year, and we had a math mania. And even the low-performing kids were in that hangar trying to solve math with us because of the level of confidence they received as a result of intervention. So starting next year, we want to start the school year with intervention embedded in our day. We don't want to wait until January. We want to start now because we saw the success. And we're also doing it in ELA. So those are the interventions that we're trying. One of the things that we did for intervention is that we do all these cross-curricular support. So it's not just ELA. Our history teachers are working collaboratively. Wait, I'm going ahead of myself. I'll get there. All right. So PBIS, we have been conjoined to high school this whole year. My team and I, we've been attending PBIS sessions, and our goal is to make sure that we have that Tier 1 support embedded within our middle school. When I got here, my pet peeve is I do not like kids outside the classroom. And so we worked hard, and our kids are not run outside the classroom. Now that they're in the classroom, we want to make sure we celebrate them. We want to teach them. We want to build those Tier 1 interventions. And so our goal at the end of the school year, now that we're not conjoined, we are building our PBIS program from the ground up, and we will get that bronze banner. So that will be a banner that will also fly in here for middle school next year. That is our goal, and we will get there. So we started some things already. We created a whole new poster. The team have an agenda for next year. How will we start the year? We are not waiting. We are starting the year because we want to get to our goal. Collaborations and PLCs. So our PLCs are very solid. We have a cross-disciplinary PLC because we cannot be isolated. This is where our history department collaborate with our ELA department and make sure that they are in alignment. They are supporting our ELA. We have our GTT that also support our math. So we do a lot of cross-discipline collaboration in order to make sure that we are all working together as a team so that we can have more success. So we have our grade level PLCs that are very, I am so proud. My team is very young, and they're so energetic and want to learn and do their research and bring information to the team. So this year we've established our PLC, and our goal is to continue making it stronger and better. We all learned together, just looking at data together. And when we did a reflection at the end of our new teacher PD, one of the things that the teachers appreciated was the fact that we used data to drive all the decisions that we were making as a team. Next year, we want to have enrichment. because of the schedule is so restricted, we don't have room to put other fun activities within the day. So we're partnering with Nextplore. We did a survey with our students, all our first grade students take the survey, and we looked at all the Nextplore programs, and these were the programs that the students were interested in. So starting next year, we want our students to be able to have an after-school program and get in the desired enrichment that they want. And then lastly, I'm excited about this one. So we did a lot of conversation about what these electives look like, what our kids are exposed to. And we all thought that 6th grade should be a grade where the students are exposed to different electives. They don't know what they want, so we can't just stuff them in there. And that's what we've been doing. So the team and I, we got together and we talked about what electives can we provide for the students. So our 6th grade students that next year will be in a wheel. So every quarter they will be exposed to a different elective. Now by the time they get to 7th grade, then if you notice, it has become a lot more specific. So they're doing GTT, and I took a page from Mr. Schatz and make sure I know, tell you what the GTT model will be for 7th grade. So for 6th grade, what is so cool about 6th grade, they will do design and modeling. So they will be exposed to like biomedical, making limbs and all that stuff in the classroom. It's so fun this year. The kids were having a blast in there, so we decided we will keep that one because the kids love it. They're enjoying it. Next year, I met with the GTT teacher and they said flight and space was one of the GTT subject that the students really love and enjoyed. And green architecture. And then for the 2nd semester, they are working on scratch coding. So that's, Patrick will help me, where it's like, all right, so if you need an explanation what scratch coding is, Patrick will explain that for you, okay? And then by 8th grade, GTT then become very specific, which is really good. They're doing CSIM, which is wearable tech. I think that's really cool for them to design a glove with a warmer in there. They're actually going the next step in coding, which is coding.org. And then we're looking at VEX IQ Bill, which is, Patrick will explain that. That is something to do with robotics, right? And that's where we go into 2nd semester, robotics. So if you need any explanation on any of these GTT terms, Mr. Brophy and I, actually, we've been working together. Right, Mr. Brophy?
Oh, yeah.
We've been collaborating together with his teachers as to what will this look like. So it's a collaboration with the GTT team along with Patrick Brophy.
I just had a logistical question. So do all the students do the same thing 1st semester versus 2nd semester? And if so, is it the same instructor that's doing GTT and then coding for 7th graders? Or like, how does that work logistically?
So for 7th grade, 7th and 8th grade, yes, it's the same instructor that's doing that. For 6th grade, we have a flip.
Okay.
So that's why there's a wheel at their end, they flip teachers.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see how that will work.
That's actually similar to what my 6th grade experience looked like, except it didn't have as much high-tech stuff in it.
Okay, and so I've been working alongside the counselors, and I'm excited that this is, I want to give you this. This is a 4-year plan that the Academy now have. So initially when we met with Becky, our consultant, Becky asked us, what does your master schedule, what is it that your master schedule say? What is the story behind your master schedule? And we didn't have an answer, because then we paused to look at what exactly is the story behind the master schedule. So I've been collaborating with the counselors and we've been working, and I am excited to say that this is the first time in a long time that we actually have my rise in ninth graders will have the opportunity to be in a more, I'm segregated into the science, be in a more equitable environment. I was a science teacher for a very long time. High school is my life. And one of the things that I noticed was we always struggle with, because I was an earth science teacher, I was all kinds of teacher, all kinds of science. I taught everything all the way up to anatomy and physiology. And so one of the things that my team and I, over like about 10 years into teaching, we are like, the kids that are in art science, the kids that are in academic science, were in a path just to graduate. We just want to get them graduated. And so we're talking with the counselors, and we want to create a college-going culture. We want to make sure that every student have equitable access to the courses that are required. So the 4-year plan shows you the UC requirement, the Cal State requirement, shows you for our athletes what their path, what's necessary. And so when the changes were made, I was so excited because I'm like, this is the first time all my rise and ninth graders will have equitable access to biology, the life science that they need, chemistry, and then when they get to juniors or senior, they get to choose a path in the direction that they want to go. So that was a change that I was excited about, coming from where I came from, where we went through the struggles, and then finally we created a more equitable access or a more equitable path for our students.
I have a question.
Sure.
So you stated that there's a change. Are we talking about a change this current year, or is this the change that is happening for next year with science?
So this is a change that's happening next year. So
I guess, what is the change?
With every ninth grader, as we looked at it, every ninth grader will start their life in biology. And then 10th grade, they go to chemistry. And then at 11th grade, they can choose all the APs. This is where Mr. Sullivan will come up here.
So that's the next
That's the next person, yeah.
Okay.
And he will continue the conversation.
Ms. McLaren, can you name drop the person that was your partner in crime with creating that program at your old school district? Because I think some board members know this person.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Ms. Zerbano and I used to work together.
Mr. who?
Zerbano, Regina Zerbano. We worked together at Hawthorne High School. She was a chemistry teacher while I was at the bio or academic science teacher. And so, like I said, as the academic science teacher and earth science teacher, our path was to actually get the kids to graduate. That's the path. Any kid that we had in earth science, we're gonna get you graduated. We're not trying to get you to a 4-year college, right? And so we worked together to change that direction for our school, to make sure that every student have equal access to each of those courses. And it wasn't, oh, you're going to take academic science and then the next path is this and maybe you could go to chemistry. It was, this is the path and you have options along the way, because then you get to choose the higher sciences. And by 10th grade, you are meeting the Cal State UC, the Cal State requirement. And that's the path that we chose as a team to make sure that we're more focusing on equity and access. Do all our students, are we having the same mindset for all our students? Are we trying to make sure that all our students have a mindset of a college-going culture, whether they choose to go to a college or not? We want to make sure that they had the tools that they need to get to a 4-year college. So that's one of the changes that we did. So when the changes was made this year, I was excited. I'm like, wow, I've been here. And now we're making this transition again. So, thank you. Any questions about GTT? Mr. Brophy will tag me. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to say, those were some of the most spectacular slides I've ever seen. They were, I don't know who did them, but kudos to who did them. They were concise and enthusiastic, and it made me excited. So thanks for laying that out.
Okay, next is middle school, high school science pathway. The academy will provide the board with information about the 2026-2027 science pathway from middle school through high school.
Good evening, board and everyone in attendance. Mr. Knowles, I hope you say the same thing about my slides at the end of the presentation. If you won't, Mark, you probably won't though, but. But in any case, I am going to talk.
That is clean and concise.
There you go. Thank you. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the science pathway and the changes for next year. What you'll see at the top is the current pathway that has been in place for many years, where incoming ninth graders are pretty much for the majority will take earth science, then followed by bio, and then the 11th. The little asterisk indicates the requirements, the TPAA requirements. 3 years is required. 4th year is optional, but as Ms. Goff said, many of our seniors that go on to do great things end up taking 5-6 years because they take 2 years of elective science, whether it be anatomy, geology, or an AP class. So that's the pathway. I know that we have one of our teachers here who was actually one of the James. Did you want to say a little bit about, because you taught earth science, you taught some of those elective classes, and you've spoken to some of those students that have gone on. And this is a required course, right? So these are required courses that ninth graders, regardless of if you have a 504 IEP, if you're an EL student, you take these classes. Or if you are, coming in already as going to be a 4.0 student, you take this earth science. So Shane, want to share a little bit about that.
And we're speaking about the current, right?
Current
We're
pathway.
still current, not past, current, right?
Current pathway.
Okay, because that's past, but it's
This is the-
current.
Well, right. Well, this is the current pathway, like this year's.
Right,
pathway.
that's the
Right,
current one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so
we're
Mr.
speaking
Haynes.
about that right now, the current.
Yes, the current one,
Okay.
the current pathway. First off, I want to say I'm glad some of my students are here because they know that I'm willing to sacrifice a lot for their education, whether it be just a field trip. So I'm here to talk about sort of a contradiction that I've heard, basically with access to the AP classes, which as an AP teacher, I believe wholeheartedly that the students should have all the access they can, and our current pathway. Because there's 2 students on that wall, Diana Para, Muhammad Ahmed, and there are countless others that were forced to take earth science as 9th graders. And I find that to be almost a remedial class for them. And they have to compete against people from Los Angeles Unified, from San Diego Unified, and they're taking biology 9th grade, which gives them an extra year to take a science of their choice. So when we talk about this current pathway, if we ask some of these students in here, these science kids, did they take earth science or did they take biology? Some will say earth science, some will say biology, because we were able to grab them out of the system. Basically, you're wasting your talents in this earth science remedial. And now as the school has gotten bigger, that's a bigger pool to pull from, I guess. And when I ask like Ms. Ramirez, who teaches 8th grade, and I say, how many are ready for biology? She tells me 60 students. And I was like, well, how are we gonna do that with this earth science model and biology model? That's why I speak to get rid of earth science and to bring in 9th grade biology. Why do I speak that? Because it's not just our elite students. Our elite students are elite and they will take multiple sciences their senior year. But colleges, they accept them, they won't even see their scores. And why? It's a whole transcript when you're looking at Course Hill High or Harvard Westlake. Why do they have this earth science 9th grade? It just doesn't look as good compared to a clean transcript with maybe APES, AP Environmental Science 9th grade, or Bio 9th grade. And then I just don't want to always talk about the elite students. I have students named Alejandro Avilla, you'll see him on the walls of Northridge, Jan Hernandez, Diego Hernandez, and they're athletes, soccer players. They don't have the push, the academic push or drive as the other students. So I just think in my mind, why did they have the choice to not take chemistry, to not apply to the UC? Why did they have that choice? Like they don't have a choice to come to school, and in my mind, high school is about 2 C's, calculus and chemistry. And we need to do everything we can to get students in those 2. And since I don't have a stopwatch, I will just keep going. I'm gonna say one thing about the NGSS standards, that the other schools, like I said, Los Angeles Unified, San Diego Unified, Course Hill, Pete Knight, they're named. It's a 3-year course naming system. Why? Bio 9, Chem 10, Physics 11. It is called The Living Earth, Chemistry in the Earth System, and Physics of the Universe. Because earth science is intertwined in the standards that we read. So it's like, why are we being redundant, not only to the kids, but as teachers? I've taught earth science, I've taught geology, I've taught astronomy, and yeah. I think, oh, and I would also say I teach the 9th grade earth science, and I have 6 or 7 students in there that should be in AP Environmental Science, that could be taking AP Chem as we speak. Diego Herman, Mr. White, what are their names? Oh God, Miss Blanca, I don't know, but they are sharp, as sharp as some of these seniors here, and they should have the choice, or not even have the choice. And I want to just name drop Mr. Knowles. Your son 100% should have took chemistry, should not have had the choice. Yeah, that's my speed.
I agree with you.
So I kind of touch on the future pathway already. One of the things that's so unique about this academy that I love is the fact that you can do vertical alignment. And like I said, our PLCs are together to just solidify what the students need to learn. And in 8th grade, that's where we do integrated science, and that's where we do earth, physical, and life science. So all the necessary earth grade, because if you look at the CAS, the information on the CAS is literally 8th grade science, that they're the questions on the CAS. So because of the uniqueness of the vertical alignment that we have, that's one of the things that once we saw this new pathway, my team and I got together and we were like, all right, we have a responsibility. And that responsibility is to make sure that that earth science portion is completely covered so that our students are ready for the next level, thereby providing that equitable opportunities for all students to make a path to whatever 4-year college they want to, and not just settle at ABC because they didn't have that opportunity, that equitable opportunity to start their 9th grade.
One of the things I did want to point out in this future path is might be a little confusing. So this is the path that you've heard tonight, where 9th grade you do bio, chem, and then in 11th, 12th grade it kind of opens it up for those electives. But because there'll be a transition year where if you're in 9th grade currently this year, you would then go into bio. So we would have bio in 10th grade, and then we would offer bio then again to the incoming 9th graders. So there would be like a transition year for us to implement this pathway of 9th bio, 10th chem, and then 11th, 12th would be opening up to some of the electives. And on that note, you heard earlier in the open session, with the speakers about some of the electives that we had talked about. So I know last board meeting I talked about some of the AP trajectory over the last 5 years, and we saw some of the numbers, and we were able to kind of look back and have some of these AP courses that we were really, I think the question was, what is the cutoff? I think someone asked very elegantly, what is that cutoff for to offer that AP class? But as of now, we have AP Chemistry, AP Environmental, AP Bio, and we actually are planning on offering a new AP course, AP Physics, which we're very excited about for this coming year. We have our core chemistry and physics classes, and this is new. This is relatively new physics class. When I first started here, we didn't offer physics. I think there was a transition here between when we had a teacher that did it before to now we have a credentialed teacher teaching it as well. So that's very excited as well. And of course, biology, and then the geology, anatomy, and the astronomy courses that we'll offer. So those are some of the elective courses that our 11th and 12th graders in science will be asking or be able to take. I think one of the things that we thought about, I love this quote by Victor Forbes, many of you guys know him, especially if you're in the PLC world. Show me your master schedule and I'll show you what your school truly values. And that's something that we think about a lot, because we have a very difficult decision to make about how we do challenge our students, and we do bring in our best and brightest in the Valley by bringing in some of these AP courses. But then how do we ensure that, like Mr. Haynes said, some of those students that aren't academically inclined, that we provide them with enough variety that supports them. Maybe they are into geology, or maybe they do find an astronomy course that's interesting to them. And so we have to find what I'll end with, this Clarence talked about, that equity as well as access piece. So it becomes a very difficult balance for us, as well as you as boards, in making those decisions about what courses we do offer we are a small campus and our resources are limited, so we have to be mindful about how we spend those resources. Isaac, I'm assuming you want me to go back here a little bit?
Yeah, so it says on here, the list of electives as courses currently available, so is this
Oh,
the
sorry.
list of electives you're planning to offer next year?
Yes, sorry, yes, that's a good point, yes.
Okay. So, with removing earth science as a required course, it won't even be offered as an elective course for students to opt to?
You know, and I was just thinking about that too, that could be something that we do look at as an option. Yeah, we could look at that. The thing is, you have the 4-year schedule that Ms. McLaren printed out. Science is not a 4-year requirement, it's a 3-year requirement here, right? And so by the time that students finish up with their 11th grade year, they can decide to go on to take a 4th year or not. And so it just becomes a matter of, do we have the number of students that are interested in taking it? Ideally, I would love to offer more, but if the numbers aren't there, then, you know, what happens is it becomes so saturated with all these electives that all the kids want to take different courses, and you end up with, you know, 10 kids want to take an ecology class, or 5 kids want to take a geology class, where, you know, again, becomes a question of, is that how we want to spend our resources?
Well, and then, I know this is a science update, so it might be that the other classes that we were talking about last meeting just don't fall under the category of science. Like computer science, I know it's not a lab science, is that on another list somewhere, or that's not coming back? I know art history is obviously not science, so that's maybe on another list somewhere too.
No, yeah, so this one was specific to the, and I don't have the master schedule, I don't remember off the top of my head, guys, but yeah, we just kind of focused on the science pathways right now.
Maybe the next meeting, since it's in June,
Yep.
we get an overall update on what AP classes have been confirmed to be offered at the school. All of them.
Yeah.
Not under one pathway or the other, just all of them, list them. Let us know what our kids are gonna have the opportunity to take.
I can do that.
So that we are aware of that. That would be great, not in bits and pieces, but the whole gap.
Sure.
What is the difference between specialized and core lab? Does that mean that core lab that's offered and specialized is when it's possible?
Yeah, so,
So next semester, next year, those specialized classes are not being offered?
These are, yeah.
The specialized ones
Everything that
too?
you see up here is planned to be offered in next year. One of the things that we have to differentiate is the UC requirements, they have, the requirements are you have to have a life science, and then you have to have a physical science, a lab science. So they need some time in the labs, and so those are the classes that kind of fill that requirement. And then the life science, I taught biology, and so my kids in 9th grade, when I taught, they filled the life science requirement, and then they went on to take chemistry to fill up the physical science requirement. And so, as was pointed out, by 10th grade, they were already done filling those 2 UC requirements. You have life science as well as the lab science done. And then they opened it up to take some of the elective courses that they chose. Okay, kind of mosey on down. So one of the things that we looked at is kind of what we naturally think we would do. What are other schools in the surrounding area offering? What is AV Union, Art Union, and LUSD kind of doing? And you'll see a similar path, right? Biology, 9th grade, chemistry, and then physics. Biology, chemistry, physics, open it up to electives. Biology, chem, physics, open it up to electives. So what the change isn't something that's completely radical. It's something that is much aligned to what some of the other districts, surrounding districts have already been doing it for quite some time. One of the things that we looked at was, and I kind of talked this already, but I can go back if anyone wants to, but I was going to focus in a little bit on the CAS. Preliminary numbers are in already for this year's CAS. I don't know if you guys everyone knew that already. And so our numbers are actually higher than, when I look back 5 years, don't quote me on this, they're the highest for CAS that they've been ever. They're at state level, which is a good thing. Now, one of the things I was concerned about is how do we keep that trend going if we make this move with this, right? How do we keep that if we make this our new pathway? And so I did some quick research. One of the things that came up, and this makes a lot of sense, especially me being in the classroom and having that science background, is that CAS really doesn't emphasize like rote memorization facts. You don't have to remember the entire periodic table. You don't have to remember the life cycle of a cell. but you need to know how to apply some of those concepts to real world examples. You need to know how to interpret graphs and charts and data. You do need to know how to support your claim with evidence and come up with, so a lot of things where there's scientific practices, but they're not necessarily tied to specific curriculum. As Ms. McLaren said, in middle school, they have an integrated model where in 6th, 7th, and 8th, they are being exposed to the different, water cycle and the cycles of Earth, and they're getting exposed to space and motion throughout, which is great. It's foundational and it's core. And then when we get to the high school level, they're expanding on that. They're learning more how to do some basic setups in the lab, cross-disciplinary applications of science, how systems work, whether it be in biology, anatomy, and so they're taking some of these concepts and just expanding on what they've already learned in middle school. Like I said, it becomes a very difficult balance with bringing in and offering those AP courses while at the same time supporting our students that need additional support. You heard from our special ed department today about the special ed support that is needed. And so some of the decisions that we make here is not all those students, and many of them are, we want them to challenge them, but many of our students aren't taking those AP environmental classes or AP physics classes. And so we have to be mindful about them as well. If there's any questions, that's my presentation. Mr. Isaac?
So first of all, I wanted to say thank you for listening to the feedback and bringing back AP chemistry and AP biology and keeping the anatomy and physiology elective. This is a STEM charter school. People are making a choice to come here because they want to focus in STEM. So I think it's really important for us as a school that we make sure we have a really robust offering of STEM courses at all levels, including the electives. So I'm glad that we're going to continue to have those offerings for our students. I definitely believe in equity and making sure we have access to all of the students. I just think we need to be mindful that we're not pursuing equity by trying to lower the ceiling, but instead we should be focusing on raising the floor, meeting everyone where they're at, and having a variety of offerings. So even if the number of advanced students that want to pursue the APs is small, to me it's worth it, whatever the number is, to make sure we're offering those things. I originally joined the school board because a previous school board voted to reduce the requirements for how many math classes were needed to graduate. And I just cannot understand why at a STEM school we wouldn't want to be challenging and pushing people. So I definitely think we should be doing more than just the bare minimum for what's required for UC and Cal State admissions. And I think it really needs to be a priority of the school. I mean, it's up to the whole board to set the objectives, but I think having robust and diverse STEM course offerings is really important at the core mission of the school.
I agree with Ellen on that. I'm going to ask a question again just to make sure. Anatomy is being offered next year, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to that, I think it's important, just as Ellen stated, we are a charter school. I get that we can do similar to what others are doing, but being a charter school allows us to be a little bit different. And just as Ellen stated, and I believe the rest of this board, we are here to ensure that the students have any and all options that we are able to offer to them. I understand that resources sometimes are, right, it's factual. Sometimes resources are not possible. But I think communication is key in everything we do. And I can't go a deaf ear to hear that some people here today have voiced that some of this is new to them, but they are the ones that are teaching some of this. So to me, and I will speak for myself at this moment because I don't want to put the board in. I think it's important. We can't make changes. Changes happen and we will have to make them at times. But making changes when those that are going to be the ones at the back end implementing it and doing it I don't think it's right, because it doesn't allow for people to feel belonging in what they are offering. So I request that when these things happen, and great presentation on middle school, thank you. But at the same time, during that presentation, I heard that some of these changes that happened without some of the high school people involved, is what I kind of heard, unless I heard incorrectly, because I don't think I heard that some of the teachers that are the ones that are going to be teaching some of these things or the changes may have been part of those conversations. And so we're a charter school. We can do things differently, fine. But there has to be engagement by all. I mean, it's part of respect, it's part of courtesy, it's part of bringing people to the table. Even if what is decided doesn't go the path that is wanted, right? Because I understand change happens. But we have to be a united front. And that, to me, is what really brings pride and participation and moving forward as a full unit to allow this school to be at the level that it needs to be. It has to start from the very top. And I will say that, and I speak for myself right now because I don't want to, speak for the board. But for me, I love the presentations, I understand, I hear the whys, but I also can't not hear that some people were not included. And I know not all are here probably speaking up as well, but that's important because this is an organization that needs to have some, cohesiveness and teamwork. And for that to happen, communication is very important. And so I think that's the first thing we need to focus on, hopefully for the starting of the next school year.
Thank you.
So two other thoughts. I had asked, is there any way that we could consider having earth science at least as an elective, not a requirement? I went to a public school in a different state 2 decades ago, so maybe my experience is not relevant to California schools today, but my science pathway in high school was what the current science pathway is here, and my 9th grade earth science teacher changed my life. It opened up like a whole new world of interest, and I think it would still be good to have that course available as an elective for our students if they're interested in taking it. I don't see any reason to cut it entirely. I know that complicates things because we're planning all of this stuff kind of late in the year. And so related to that, since we're making changes right now, how does this work with timing for students to select their classes?
Yeah, we're past that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So since this is like one of the core subjects, you would basically take all the incoming 9th graders and place them, like bulk upload them into that course. As I mentioned before, it's going to be a transition. And again, as Mr. Hank said, there's some kids that were placed in bio early, and so they'll be taking some chem. But there'll be a little bit of redundancy, or I guess overlap, if you will, with both 9th and 10th graders in bio. I mean, we have the teachers that have the credentials to do it, and so it'll work that way, but after that, then it'll be more aligned.
But what about for the choices people get to make, right? Like, I think you had said last time that there were 15 or 16 students that had wanted to do AP Bio and AP Chem,
right,
so that was not an option, now it is an option. Like, are you just using the names you had previously, or now that those courses are back, can other students opt into them?
Are you talking about the AP courses?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we still have those courses, yes, and we'll have those names too that wanted it, so we're able to put those back.
But I guess now that we know that that's gonna be offered, can we open that up to other students who might be interested, or?
Oh, you mean like for these numbers, like the AP courses, like now that we know that we're offering AP bio, like
Yeah.
open it up more to see if more students, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no reason why, yeah, that's easy.
Mr.
And
Sullivan?
then, what about for the electives? Like, since you used to have a required option for the 11th graders, do they get to choose different electives now that the pathway is changing?
Well, that's something that, yeah, we can see, I mean, so one of the things that we did have is when we did the course selection, we had it, counselors in the hangar with the students to fill out their, course request and including their electives, so they get to choose, like, hey, all right, if they couldn't get into AP, if they couldn't get into AP Chem, then what was their number 2 choice? So the counselors have that, and what they can do is just kind of go down. And Power School is set up that way, where they have their primary request for a course, and then what's their alternative when they can't go. So when we collapsed, let's say the AP Chem, and all those kids were just moved into their secondary choice. So we have that information both in Power School, and then we actually have paper copies just for whatever reason, you know, as a backup. So we have that information. We don't necessarily have to pull again. Some of the new kids that are coming in, because we do have about 40 incoming 9th graders and 20 to 30 odd 10th graders, then we'll just have to move them to either to an elective course that's available, it's open, because we don't have their course request because they're brand new. So, sorry, sorry.
So some students, I mean, chemistry is not for everyone. We have to look at that, right? It's not gonna be for everyone. Are we setting things in place since we are making the decision to have them all take chemistry, no other option, right? Are we setting things in place to help them all succeed through chemistry? And another question. I mean, not everybody is gonna go to four-year college. That's a given. That I know that setting a certain path to give them those opportunities is what we need to do. But being realistic as to, you know, how some students are gonna do and what pathway they want to take in their life, are we eliminating by taking away some of those options now? Are we eliminating their opportunities to go in other directions and still be successful through that path, and or exposing them to maybe not do so well in chemistry if we don't have something set in place that is going to help them get through it?
I think that's important. We have like the variety, and we keep the anatomy class, and we keep the geology, and just have, you know, especially as a science person, we're both science backgrounds, and so in college we got access to a variety of different courses, right? Which, if all I had to take was, you know, chemistry, no offense, Ms. Goff, I'd be struggling. Certainly would not be here today. But that was part of my background. I got to take an exposure to bio, environmental, and some physics, and I got to choose what connected to me, what made sense to me, and that's why I think having the variety of these specialized classes are wonderful. And I'd love to, you know, at some way down the future, offer more of these to give those students the choice to see. And I think this pathway allows for that, though. You know, like now that we finish up by 10th grade the core requirements, by 11th and 12th grade they get access early on to choosing what interests them by whether it's be challenging them in an AP course or taking an anatomy class or an astronomy class, giving them early access to make those choices. Well, I think get to your point where they get to choose where they might be interested in doing.
We go back to the pathways just one second. We go back to the pathways again. Yeah. Is there no way of operating both at the same time, both pathways?
That's what I was thinking.
So short, there is, I mean, we can offer as like an accelerated pathway, sort of, if you will, where, and it'll require some changing, where we can, I mean, do different pathways where we have first science, and then we can do like, where they kind of have done before, an accelerated pathway, or like what Mr. Haynes said, for those students that are more advanced, wanna challenge themselves with a much more difficult course, that could be an option that we can look at and explore.
I think one of the things that you run into when you have both is that equity and access. And like I said, from my experience, I've been a science for like 20 years, I've been a science teacher. It was equity and access when we choose that path for them. Now, as far as having earth science maybe later on as an alternative, that could be a possibility, because what if a kid struggle in chemistry, then it's like, okay, where do you go? You go to earth science because you still need your physical science. But I think if we choose both paths and having it parallel, now we're saying, if you put my 8th grader on this path, then my 8th grader will not get the same access, because by the time they get to earth science and they're struggling through earth science, and it's like, I don't like science, I will just go through this. Do you think my 8th grader will go and take an 11th grade science? Of course not, because science was a struggle. So now they just rule them out that opportunity to go to a Cal State or a UC because they're not meeting the science requirement. So it runs into that access problem. But looking at it the other way, where it's like, what are the options? I like that question. What are the options if they're struggling with chemistry? What is their backup plan if they cannot pass that chemistry class? Looking into earth science to fulfill that requirement, then that will be a choice. But we're starting it out, giving them the access and that they need. We're starting them out, like you said, not everybody will go to a 4-year college. And a lot of students, they start out not liking science and then they like it. So then by the time they get to 11th grade, look at can you go to 11th grade, sir? There's so many options they can choose based on what science they love the most, right? If they love chemistry, then they'll choose a chemical path. If they loved bio, then they will choose one of those environmental path to continue. So we just run into that equity access piece if we start and have both pathways.
So will we get them out of chemistry quick enough if they find out they're struggling to get into their science?
So that's the thing, it's not even about getting them out of chemistry, it's about providing the supports that they need to be successful in chemistry. That's what we need to do along the way. We can't wait for them to fail.
But doesn't that also, I guess for me, because I will say, I do look at how people process their mindset, their feelings and all that, so wouldn't having them go through that option of having to choose at that time, like, oh, I'm not good at chemistry, so now I gotta do earth science because I wasn't good at that. Doesn't that give them a mindset of, I didn't have what it took to do that, versus allowing them to choose early on what path they would like to go? I guess maybe I'm not, I'm having a challenge in, I feel like the path that we're going now is like, we are telling them, this is what you have to do. We don't give you an option now. You can get it later if you show us that you can't get through this, versus you have this option now, this is the path you want to choose, and motivate them to say, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do, because not everybody is going to go to a 4-year college. I understand what is being said. I just can't comprehend to me it feels like we're imposing this on them right now, because we know that, hey, maybe at some point you are going to want to go to 4-year college, we're setting you on that path, but you don't know it at this moment, that you're going to want to do that, versus you have that option now. It's just, I don't know, I feel like they're being limited now, and then later on we give them the option because, okay, you're not going to go through, you can't do chemistry, then take this one. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I'm.
The perception is, we want everybody to be successful. We want to create, 100%. I've been working with the counselors, and our goal, as we're working together, is to create a college-going culture. Whether that's a JC or a 4-year, and hence the wall. We're like, let's celebrate the students on the wall. So that's why they put the walls up there, so the other students can walk through and say, hey, This is my motivation. And, you know, as we're working with the counselors, we have other things in the work that we will be doing next year to create a college-going culture. So we want to be able, we're stepping out with the mindset is that we're giving you the tools to be successful to go wherever you want to go. Are we expecting you to fail? No, we're not expecting you to fail. Chemistry might be a struggle for some people. But that's why you provide supports in place. We don't wait. I know one of the questions that we had like a while back is, why are so many people taking all these Admentum courses? And so this is, yeah, and so this is the moment, this is the now that as we walk into this, we provide the supports that the students need in order to be successful.
I just had a statement, it's just, I could ask Mr. Lestry, we should have kids take consumer math before algebra, because people are gonna fail algebra, but we don't. We move them on.
I don't agree with that.
Should we teach consumer math before algebra?
I think every student should take a consumer math style class at some point in their high school year, but I don't think it should be before algebra because they need to know certain algebra skills in order to go through and be successful in that course.
That's what I'm saying.
I say it should be concurrent with either Algebra 2 or a geometry class. They need to have a completion of Algebra 1 first.
That's exactly what I said, is that.
The completion of Algebra 1, not before Algebra 1.
And
That's a whole different conversation.
I believe this board is not saying we don't understand or we don't see the benefits of it, right? I believe we would like to give the kids the options, all the options that are possible. So I agree with what Ellen said. Is it possible to make earth science available earlier on than later? I get it. I understand the chemistry path, but is there a possibility? Not all students will be successful at chemistry. It's not that, it's just a challenging subject, right? I get it, I know it's needed for college, et cetera, but there are some students as well that won't end up going to a four-year college. They're gonna go do a trade, they're gonna go do something else. We all know that. We wanna give them the best. We're not saying we're opposed to that path. We're just saying, is it possible to give them the opportunity as well of earth science? That's what we're saying. So, I don't think does anybody else, Ellen?
Can we go back to the pathway slide? I feel like I misunderstood something that I heard. I feel like I heard that the future pathway that we're looking to change to increases college readiness or college preparedness, and I don't think I understand that statement, because under both options, we've got the students taking bio and chem, and we still have a requirement that students have to take 3 years of lab science to graduate, so I don't understand how the sequencing makes a difference in college preparedness.
So I'll say, one of the things that, you guys heard this, we looked at the AP last board meeting, and the challenge was getting enough students to take, to be enrolled in some of those AP courses. By and large, that was because they were on this pathway that the majority went through earth science, bio, chem, mostly, several of them had elective in their 11th grade, but mainly, if we could fit them into a chemistry class, we did. Now, there was only so many courses we could offer because our teacher, Ms. Goff, is the only credentialed chemistry teacher on campus, except for their next year, we'll talk about later. And so, the 12th grade year was the only year that all students had access to take an elective. But as you said, Mr. Isaac, they only required 3 years. And so a lot of our students just opted out. And so the ones that did ended up taking some of those AP courses, which again, we ended up with the struggle with placing some of those kids in there. If we had them early on, the idea is then that now they have an elective to take in their required 11th grade year. So now they can challenge themselves. And we're hoping that we'll be able to offer more of those AP courses, including the AP physics. That's the idea.
Can I just add something that, one of the things that I said was the uniqueness about the academy is the alignment that we can do. And so earth science will be one of the science that we will definitely, they're not losing out on it, they're getting it. in 8th grade. Like I said, once we saw the pathway, I met with my science department and we talked about what does earth science look like in 8th grade and how we will definitely shift our curriculum. Like, as it is, we do all 3 sciences, but just making sure that they are getting the earth science and GSS standard that's necessary for them to continue in the science pathway. So it's not like we're taking it out. And I love, like I said, I'm science background, so me and my science team, we collaborate a lot to make sure that our students are getting the science necessary for them to be successful.
So the earth science in 8th grade is the same as earth science in 9th grade, and does it align with the testing that they get, or the state testing? They'll be prepared for that.
Yeah, it's definitely aligned with the CAS, because it's the NGSS science standards. So the way the new NGSS science standard is, it's not like, oh, you will do a core of this and a core of this. It's always a crossover and a connection between the sciences, the way the NGSS science standard is. I think William had a slide where it shows where NGSS wants you to make more connection than regurgitate material. That's the new science standards that we're dealing with, which is so much better, is when the students are done with, science, they're doing practical application to science. It's not, oh, I will learn about the cells, I will learn about mutation, they will learn about how those are connected to cancerous cells and what's happening in real world. That's how the NGSS standard is set up, and that's set up like that from middle school all the way to high school.
And in 8th grade, earth science is a required class?
Yes, it is a part of our curriculum. We have to cover 3, which is earth science, physical science, and life science. It is a part of our curriculum. And we have a great curriculum that we're using.
So, I have a question. This is maybe a different topic, so it might have to come back on a different agenda, but something to think about is how would we feel about requiring 4 years of math and 4 years of science to graduate?
We can bring that to the next meeting too.
This next meeting, there'll be some planning to get into that, but yeah.
Well, the sooner the better. If we could do it next meeting, that would be great, with the AP report back as well.
Sounds I'll be back up for another presentation at the next board meeting. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to new business, and the first item is recommendation to approve the CUPCA informal bidding policy and resolution.
Good evening, Board. The California Uniform Public Construction Accounting Act stands for CUPCA on there. It provides public agencies with streamlined bidding procedures for qualifying public works projects while maintaining transparency and compliance with state law. Adoption of the resolution and policy will allow the Academy to utilize CUPCA's project thresholds and informal bidding procedures. This increases operational efficiency and reduces administrative delays for facilities and maintenance projects. This resolution and policy follow the templates provided by the California State Controller's Office. Administration recommends approval of both the resolution and policy to formally authorize the Academy's participation in the CUPCA program. We've been attempting to bring this to the board for the last 4 years, didn't have a competent CBO or superintendent who supported it. Every entity around us has this same policy approved, both cities do, as well as all local school districts. Every PD training that I've gone through for facilities the last 4 years says this is a must-have to complete the public work projects. So I finally appreciate the support of Ms. Lynch and our CBO to bring it before you all to get us aligned with best practice.
Anyone, do you have questions, Ms. Carol?
No, none.
Right.
Helen, do you have questions?
No.
No. Call for the motion.
Move to approve the CUPCA informal bidding policy and resolution.
Seconded.
Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Approved. Next item is Public hearing on the Palmdale Aerospace Academy's Classified Association's PACA initial proposal for negotiations to the Palmdale Aerospace Academy for 2026-2027 school year.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah,
are.
sorry, that's theirs.
Okay, he's next.
Just looked at it.
That was a lot, and that was really interesting to listen to, but I'm gonna lighten the mood a little. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Lynch, and the administration. My name is Christine Castellanos. I'm an instructional aide at the elementary school and the bargaining chair for PACA. Representing the dedicated staff who support the students and families of the Palmdale Aerospace Academy. PACA believes strong schools are built on stable and qualified staff in every position, safe and supportive learning environments, respectful and collaborative relationships between educators and district leadership. Our Sunshine proposals reflect these shared values and focus on what best supports both students and the staff who serve them. This year, PACA is sunshining the following articles. Our automatic reopeners are compensation and health and welfare, and we are choosing to reopen uniforms and dress code and transfers and reassignments. As we enter this process, PACA remains committed to good faith bargaining, collaboration, and problem solving. We know that when the Academy and PACA work together, our students benefit. Our goal is to reach an agreement that supports the long-term stability of the district, the well-being of the staff, and the success of every student we serve. PACA will continue to keep our members informed and approach negotiations with professionalism, respect, and transparency. On behalf of PACA, I respectfully present this Sunshine proposal to the board and the public. Thank you for your time.
Call for the motion.
Make a motion to recommend to approve PACA's initial proposal for negotiations.
Are we approving or accepting?
Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. It's approved. Next item, public hearing on the Palmdale Aerospace Academy's initial proposal for negotiations to the Palmdale Aerospace Classified Association. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong, no,
No,
I'm
you're right.
reading the right one.
You're right.
Association PACA for the 2026-2027 school year.
I think we've got the same
Yeah, it says
item
PACA on both.
twice
That's why
incorrectly.
it doesn't say PATA.
They're
Oh,
both
no,
PACA.
last time was Pat, right?
Sunshine,
So,
board meeting.
yeah, so the classified, they give theirs and we give ours at the same meeting.
Okay.
And last time it was
Open
PACA for both.
negotiations.
Okay,
So it's PACA for both.
so who is presenting?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take care of this one.
Okay.
We have our two automatic reopeners. Well, once again, that's compensation, health and welfare benefits. The Academy has chosen to move forward two other articles for reopening. That is employee discipline and dismissal process to help align verbiage to ensure a fair and transparent system that promotes accountability and supports professional growth. The other one is transfers and reassignments, Article 13. The goal there is to provide for efficient and strategic placement of employees while maintaining continuity for employees, students, and school programs. The relationship with PACA is strong. I look forward to bargaining session with those wonderful individuals and supporting collaboratively what's best for our students and the support that they receive through the classified staff. We're eager, we're ready, and we're optimistic that we can start this and close this with mutual agreements.
Any comments for the board? No? Call for the motion.
Go for it, Dennis.
Make a motion to approve the Palmdale Aerospace Academy initial proposal for recommendations to PACA for the 2026-2027 school year.
Call for the vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. I'm an aye. Approved. Okay, next is recommendation to approve the academy dress code.
So what you have before you is feedback from the board at the last meeting, as well as some examples Ms. Lopez had provided to make it a little more specific. So we're seeking approval tonight so we can send it out to families if approved.
By, only question I have is by approving this, without the inclusion of, because we talked about having, pullover hoodies that were TPAA branded that the school could provide. I don't think that's in here, so I don't know if it needs to be specific for people to understand that those are the hoodies they'll be wearing.
Would you like me to replace the part that says sweaters, jackets, and hoodies where the hoodies are and say the academy will provide hoodies?
Is that
What do you mean by provide? That we will give?
the hoodies to the kids, yes. Because we do not impose the parents having to brand them themselves.
The only thing I think we talked about with that is that if we say that's the only one they can wear, they can opt out not wearing it, and so we have to provide them what they can wear. Because that would be a required uniform, because we're saying you have to wear this sweatshirt. If we don't say they have to wear it, but we make it available, and a lot of students buy it, we could do it that way, or if they don't buy it, we give it to them. They can choose to wear it or not. But it does become a uniform if we don't do it that way, I believe.
I mean, whichever way we do it, I just wanna make sure that if we approve this the way it is now, that we still have the ability to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
we do have like the robotics team and the sports team, they wear their own, gear anyways, which is fine, school branded. But if we don't have an option, then they will wear whichever hoodie they want and cover up the polo and all that, so what's the purpose? That's where I'm thinking, right? So, as long as we can do it without having to include it in here, then
We definitely can. Sarah and I talked about how that would be funded. So it's up, I mean, if we put it in, it becomes, yeah, it's up to you, but I would just recommend to the board that we keep this in case someone opts not to wear, then we have at least parameters.
Understood.
I don't wanna require branded things, but have them available. And we'll have, do we have available branded polos that they can get from the store?
The polos are not gonna be branded.
Well, I know, but are they available through the
Yes.
store
We have spirit
if they
wear
wanted to?
things. We're looking at some other options of expanding that so that even staff can provide things too.
So if we expand what's available for purchase as far as hoodies and polos, then a statement could be any,
Or to say, or any school
lo-
logo.
school logo is approved. School branded attire is approved.
Yeah.
So do we approve with that amendment, or if you are going to revise something on it?
I think you have to say approved with language of adding any school branded articles of clothing, and I could put it under the shirts and the hoodies.
Is approved. Is-
Yeah.
So call for the motion.
I recommend you approve the academy dress code with the amendments.
I second.
Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, that was approved.
So I'll just make a comment. I am glad we did this. You know, over the years, we've gotten away from a more formal dress code, and it's become much more loose. And I went off and did my own research on how does dress code impact attendance and grades and other things, and there is no strong correlation. But what there is a correlation is what's the perception that the community has of the school? And what do we represent? We represent preparing students to be in the community, and that's what this represents. So I'm glad we did this.
We're gonna move on to the closed session. Before we do that, I know that we do our reports at the end, but I just wanted to thank, all those that came and spoke today. Thank you for, this is a platform for a voice. The board welcomes people to come and voice, their concerns, because that is how we are able to understand, right, when we are approving policies, and everyone's voice matters. I know that there are times when certain decisions have to be made and not everyone is going to be okay with them. But I believe that communication is key, and that it is important for it to happen, because that allows people to be able to find a compromise at a certain point. If people feel unheard or that they don't belong, that they haven't been included, then it opens up for more challenges in moving forward with change. So know that there is a platform here, it is available to everyone by law, and we do welcome that. But thank you, because I know it's not easy coming to speak. I know that it takes courage to do that. Know that that is a safe space, and that everyone is heard, and we try to do our best to move this school forward in the best direction, which I know that everyone, and especially those that spoke today and are doing the work, and our admin team, everyone here has a heart for moving the school forward in a positive way. So thank you for taking the time to do that. And now we move forward to our closed session. Are there any comments on closed session items?
No.
There are no comments. So we adjourn to closed session 7:35 p.m.